Is it the place where wild nightingale chicks would peck frantically at the rusty cage, holding fast, as if by some strange charm, to the wire of the cage that is not yet broken, that there would be no sad noise at the crib? Is it the place where, toiling under the roof, we in my days and my father in his, found ourselves in solitary, toiling hours over work of a mental or mental not yet conscious nature? Is it the place where, in times of calm, we even heard the low and patient carriage down yonder of the carriage boy in the nursery as he went from a wake to his ride in the next room? Is it the place where we observed with even greater anxiety and even greater delight as the infinitesimal clock tick sounded each and every second of the long night? Is it the place where, under the full moon, we would gaze in sudden rapture into the blackish void of the sky, only to be plunged into one of those blind and frantic attacks of madness, which have turned even the solemn hearse into a strange and terrible apparition, and carry the disconsolate dead to the graveyard? Is it the place where we at times feared the phantoms of those inexplicable crocs which loom and prowl in the hidden darkness of the passage? Were they the myriads of snakes which reside in the shadows as the crooked-hewn steps near the top of which we led our sheep, or the river under which we took our cattle? Is it the place where there are the giants who, with bold prancing walkers and horses, appear suddenly from the shrouded dark recesses, and with noisy and hideous yells call on all present to hide themselves? Is it the place where, upon the cold, lifeless shelves we stood, each armed with his trap, prepared to draw and throw it in an instant? Is it the place where, with eerie and unconscious anticipations, I thought I heard my father utter words of command in the secret parlor where we children were barred, and where in our young days we were taught the terrible art of slaying and butchering? Is it the place where we studied the maps which, when more enlightened, would show our strange land? Or where the great book Uncle Isaac's General Store would tell us of the fraudulent explorer Jacob Leghorn, who with a band of curious, ill-clad children journeyed into the old jungle and came home with no animals but the broken-hearted and lifeless remains of a mastodon and the skulls of prehistoric snakes, which with their hideous and beaked smiles he shed in rags upon the rocks as relics of a last kingdom which our ancestors knew? Is it the place where in the desert sand, where our strange and strong ponies were tethered, the men would plow with dogs, and flocks of cattle would stamp about us in great confusion? Is it the place where the air is so filled with the stench of the terrible crocodile gators that the bloodthirsty rumor of their awful presence, which inspired the huntsmen to raise such desperate voices and movements, would in a moment evoke frantic barking and tremendous struggles of such magnitude that the first boy to fall was often partly buried? Is it the place where, in the little woodyard where our darlings kept their kites and balloons, they first learned of the war in which their countrymen were struggling? In the remote wetland of the soul, said La Rochefoucauld, it is as in an old mansion where the entrance door is locked, that when we have to enter, a trap door somewhere under a floor is opened, and within those dark and secret depths we look not upon the sepulchral shapes of murder and betrayal. How true it is in the heart.